a video on some meat. Well, some short ribs. I've got a bit of a problem with short ribs. Everybody says they're really economical. I don't think they are. I think you're basically paying for bone. If I'm truly honest, I think when you're cooking the short ribs slowly, I think they're delicious, but I think you're paying for bone. And even though the bone gives up some of that flavour to the kind of the cooking liquor that you're cooking the short ribs in, I don't really kind of think that's worth it. So if we look at these, so this is some. Well, we've got two things to kind of compare it to. I've got dough on my finger. Been baking bread. That's why the oven's on. I'll have to take the bread out soon. So let's crack on. So let's open it up. We'll do the one colour. We'll do the kind of. Can we see? So short ribs are £7.50 a kilo, and that one, these two short ribs here are £5.61. And that is in weight 748 grams. So Shin Beef, with hasn't got any bone in, is £8 a kilo, so more expensive per kilo, but that's £4, so that's less, and there's 500 grams worth of it. But that's pure meat, is that? So I'm curious to know how much meat there is on short ribs compared to bone kind of ratio, because it's, to my mind already, Shin is going to be a much better value for money. We're going to get more meat per money. We get the bones, but you can get the bones for free from the butchers. So I want to cook it, and we're going to kind of compare it to what kind of meat, not the weight of the meat and the price of the meat, cooked meat that we get off the bones. I'm not going to butcher them down, but there's quite a lot of bone in there. You know, so I think it's going to be much more value for money to get Shin, and not that dissimilar. Certainly, there's lots of connective tissue and gelatin in the Shin, and there's going to be loads of flavour. There's just as much flavour in there. Not as much fat, but that's not a problem. That's not a problem. And then while I was looking at all the meat, I was looking at the let's get these open. I was looking at the buying bones. So in Morrison's in the UK, you can buy bones for your dog, or for making stock or whatever. And I was noticing that there's quite a lot of these bones have got quite a lot of meat on them. So these bones are, it's like £3.56, and it's £4.59 per kilo, and there's 776 grams worth of bones. So there's bones in there, and there's also kind of meat. So I'm kind of quite curious to see. I mean, that's not that. I mean, you know, like, is it, if you want something with bones in, is it better to go through all these bones that you get from Morrison's and pick out the ones that have got more meat on them, and kind of use kind of those? So I kind of think there's still quite a lot of meat on those, and I think there's probably enough same amount of meat on those than there is on the short ribs, and we've got the bones as well. So there's that. So that's that. I'll need to keep that to kind of keep the records, so we can kind of compare. And then these are the short ribs. I think it's, I just think it's a big fat con, and they're selling something to you which is far too expensive for you basically buying bones. So I'm going to cook a faux fur, and I'm going to cook these bones and this meat in it. So these meat will appear in another video. So I'm going to fry them off first, get them nice and caramelised, and then cook them in some stock. You see the bread's ready now. Bread's ready. That's what it is. So turn the oven off. I should pause the video, but too far into it now, aren't we? So, also, if something goes wrong with my bread, you'll be able to see it. Oh no, that's a good one. Look at that. Look at that. That's good, isn't it? Very proud of myself. Although of bread now, but if I couldn't do it right, there's something wrong. So we're going to caramelise them, and then we're going to cook them slowly in some stock. This stock is what I made a few days ago. I've been faffing around with beef stock, so it's a good opportunity to use up the stock to make a faux fur. I want to say pot au feu, which is a French dish, which is lots of different meats slowly poached in a stock, like a shin of beef goes in there, and like a whole chicken, and maybe a bit of, I think some pork goes in, or some gammon goes in, and then some vegetables as well. And it's kind of like a rustic kind of like dish. And pho obviously comes from pho, because there's a huge French influence in Vietnam. But anyway, so if we look at those, you kind of go, there's a great big bloody bit of bone in that. So you're paying for bone, you know. And then that one's even bigger. So there's a portion of meat on there, but that's kind of quite expensive, you know. So it's not that cheap. It's not that economical when people are talking about it being economical. I mean, like, what's that? £2, £2.70 for a portion of meat. That's far too much for two people. Whereas that you get 3 portions, and that's £4. So that's, you know, a lot less money. So here's my maths. Like £1.30. So like 50. There's like a pound and whatever kind of difference in price. How's the unit? Yeah. So, you know, and that's just as nice as that. So to buy that, I think you're a bit of a fool. But anyway, unless you want to show off in front of friends. But then if you want that, but you want to do it cheaper, and you actually want to do it on the bone, then you buy the bones like that. At the butcher's that's a rubbish butcher at what we call it, at Morrison's. I mean, these are rib bones, right? So they will probably be like that part of the rib bone. You know what I mean? Even kind of less. They're probably not from the same animal, but you know, I think so. Anyway, we'll brown them off, we'll cook them, and then we'll see how much meat we get off these bones compared to these bones, compared to what the meat shrinks to. That it's turned into a long video, isn't it? We'll see how we go. Anyway, you don't need to see me frying them off. Well, it's just an experiment to kind of show you what kind of meat to bone ratio and to kind of price that type of thing. It's not a lesson on how to cook shin and short ribs, because it's not that hard. Maybe it'll be a bit of a lesson. No, because you watched the video on the phone. But there we go. Yeah, so we'll fry them off, braise them slowly for about 4 hours, and then we'll be able to do a comparison. I'm going to let them go cold, and then we'll do the comparison, because it'll be just a bit easier to handle. But anyway, that's what I'm going to do, and not do such long videos in future. Oop, wonky camera. So the meat's tender. It's just about falling to bits. So I'm going to let that cool, and then we'll what we call it, and then we'll kind of like pull it out when it's a bit cool. It'll be easier to pull it out when it's cool, and when you pull something out that's hot, and you can see all the steam coming off it, you're actually losing moisture. So we don't want that. That won't happen when it's a little bit cooler. I think the bones have come away from the Jacob's ladder and things. We'll just have to kind of piece everything together to kind of see which bit of meat belongs to which bone type of thing. Like if we look, like that big bit of meat's come away from the bone of the Jacob's ladder. What's it called? Short rib. Jacob's ladder short rib. It's come away, so we'll just have to kind of like guess which is which type of thing. I'm just using that as a what we like to put some spoons on, because it needs washing anyway. I'm not going to dirty a plate. So we'll let it cool, and then we'll have a look and see what's going on. But it tastes nice, and imagine that it'll be delicious. But we'll see what the meat's like, and what kind of ratio, what kind of weight we got of the different types of meat and the bones, that type of thing. We'll pull the meat off the bones, but that'll be later when it's cool a bit. There's no need to do it while it's hot. Right, I have pull the meat out of the stock. So stock can go to one side, and then we can have a look at this. And can we see? Let me see. There's some. Oh no! I'm thinking the camera's a bit blurry, but it's not. It's my screen that's a bit dirty. So let's have a look at what we've got. So that's next to the short rib. That's next to the bones, and that's next to the shin. So if we look at those, we look at the bones. There's quite a substantial amount of meat on those. So they were £4, 90p each, 90p each, and whereas opposed to those, that's an extra. Oh god, my maths. £4. £1.40. Yeah, they're £1.40. They're £1.40 a piece. So, and they're like 90p. So there's a lot more meat on them than that. So I think those are certainly worth it if we're going to be cooking something and we want a bone in them for the flavour of the bone. Those bones are much better. You've just got to make sure that you sort through the packets. Some of them they all roughly weigh about the same weight, but some of them have more bone in than others. So some of these, that's great. Is that? I mean, it's a spare rib, is that, isn't it? Let's be honest. You know, you can have 2 of those for a spare rib, you know, for your dinner, and that would be absolutely delicious, like a beef spare rib, delicious. But to my mind, I think there's much more value in the shin. So if we want something with a bone in, I'd recommend using the bones, picking through the packets, pulling out the good ones. But if we just want the meat, I think the shin's the best bet. All that meat for £4. That's much better than that. But we'll weigh it. Oh yeah, we'll better weigh it. So I'll strip we'll pull the bones off. No, we'll just be able to get it won't take much, will it? The hot. So let's just, I'm not going to go into the waste on them with the fat as well. Let's just pull out the bone and put it somewhere where it's not going to make a mess. And then I'll be able to weigh the plate, won't I? So I'll have another plate, and we'll use that as the net weight. No, we'll weigh a plate, and then we'll be able to do the weight of the meat type of thing. So I'm not gonna. There's like fat and gristle, but that's by the by, isn't it? You know. So don't think I can use those bones for anything else. Don't think I can use those bones for anything else. But if we go on the ratio that there's about the same ratio of waste, like a bit of gristle and a bit of fat and a bit of connective, well, gristle is connective tissue, isn't it? Just put that in, something in the bin, and then it's not going to tear through my bag when I put the bins out next week. And just quickly wash my hands, and then I'll get another plate out, because I'm always prepared, and this is not the reason why the video is too long, is it? I really should stop talking about this in my videos. I don't think anyone really cares apart from me. So, I've got a plate which is the same type of plate. Tear that off on the weighing scales. I can't do it on the board because the board's a bit wonky. So make sure we're in grams, and then we'll see what kind of weight of cooked meat we've got. So, the ribs, we have got 379 grams. The short rib, we have got 373 grams of cooked meat, and then of the shin we have got 384 grams, so roughly the same amount of meat. So what was that again? Yeah, roughly about the same amount of meat on each. I mean, there's those bits, so we've probably got less meat in there once we've picked through and pulled out all those bits. But it looks like, actually I was wrong. It looks like I was wrong. It looks like the bones, as long as you pick out the bones that have got the plenty of meat on the bones, then it looks like your best bet is the bones. I don't know if I agree with that. I'll just have to pick through and pull out those bits of. No, that can't be right, because you're going to pull out all these bits of Might pull all those bits off, like that, and get those bits of meat out there. So there's going to be, let's put that there. Like, no one's going to want to eat. I'd eat that, if I'm honest. The dog would love it. If I had a dog, I'd certainly feed that to the dog or the cat. Or if one of my neighbours had a dog, I'd go around and see the dog and feed them those bits, and the dog would think it was wonderful. That's generally. Oh no, I was going to say something. I won't say that. Yeah. No, yeah, because you can buy a dog's love, can't you? You know, it doesn't take much. Although no, that's not true. That's not true. I used to deliver to a place years ago, and they had guard dogs, and if you had a biscuit, these dogs thought you were brilliant and they loved you. As soon as they had eaten that biscuit, they turned back into monsters. These dogs, absolute monsters. They instantly forgot that you'd given them a biscuit, and they hated you again. But anyway, never trust a doggy, eh? I have the scars to show. So let's just get rid of that, and then we'll just wait roughly again. It'll probably turn out that the shin is the best. I see we're getting quite a lot of stuff that we don't want to eat. There's all that there. There's all those bits that we don't want to eat. Whereas the shin, there's not much that we wouldn't eat in that shin. But okay, that does it. Alright, so wash my hands again. I've got the cleanest hands in the world. Right off a bit. And then let's just weigh that plate again, and then we'll see. Ah, yeah. So we've that's 308. So we've lost quite a substantial amount. Yeah, yeah. So that's 308 grams. So we have that, the shin by far. But my advice would be, if you want to cook something and have the bones. Well, I've said this already. If you want something and we're going to cook in, and you want the richness of the bones to come out into the dish, then buy those bones. Just make sure you go through and the bones have got plenty of meat on them. But otherwise, shin, you know what I mean? You're still going to get, there's lots of fat in there and connective tissue and all these sinewy bits that are going to put meat flavour into anything you're cooking, whether it be a stew or like some kind of ragu type of sauce. But there we go. So don't bother with short rib; they're far too expensive for what you get. If you want an alternative, go with shin or go with the bones. You can buy cheap braising steak in the supermarkets, which is probably even cheaper than the shin, or maybe it wasn't. I can't remember. But I'd go for shin. But there we go. So, yeah, I knew it all along that that short ribs are not worth the money. Go with a bit of shin.